Day 31. Good evening, everyone. Just finished my meditation, and it was quite a strong one today. Quite a big realization has come along. Sort of started out, it took quite a while. There were quite a lot of thoughts going on in my head. And as the meditation progressed, I saw myself as a little girl just laid back looking at all these thoughts as, stars up in the sky. And I was laid next to what I thought was a man, and we were just looking at these stars, and I can remember pointing my finger up and just pointing to each star and saying, well, that's a thought about this, this is a thought about something else. And as I did that, my finger it was like a flash of lightning, and it sort of sent a burst of energy towards that. But it was just beautiful. It was like black sky, just completely covered with all these star thoughts. And then as the meditation progressed, it changed to a scene where I was just walking on quite a barren landscape. It was completely flat. And as I walked, it was as if when I looked down at my feet, I was walking on lava, but it didn't feel hot or anything. It just felt very barren, and I was on my own. And then next minute I was falling down sat on my bottom, just going down on these sand dunes, falling and falling and falling further down, as if I was going on a what you call it? My brain's gone now. Sometimes when I come out of the meditations, it takes a while for my brain to start thinking, and I'm not trying to do it from my brain, but I am trying to think about it, try and remind myself. But yeah, and then all of a sudden I just landed in this water, and as I landed in this water, I suddenly turned into this young boy. And I just got the words, you are one, just reverberating in my head, you are one. And something just sort of came out of me, like, it was like, I am one. And it was like a massive realization that I was at one with all the ocean and all the people and everyone was like a one. Everything was at one, everything was at peace, everything was okay. But what I realised is that I was a boy, and I must have thought at the time, why am I a little boy? And as I was sat at the bottom of this ocean, a little girl appeared in front of me. And it brought to me the realization that all my life I've been living as a boy. Because if I try and sort of explain this a little bit better, when I was a child, and I can remember being a little girl and doing all sorts of girly things, like putting on my leg warmers and dancing around the room, and I really enjoyed doing all that girly things and sort of singing and getting a hug, people doing things for me. I really enjoyed all that side of things. But I also know from what my mum says, that I was very emotional, so I was very much in tune with emotions, and sometimes when I felt feelings, they would sometimes overwhelm me. And society was taught at that time to not show feelings, so I think in a way I learnt to be a boy, to take on the persona of a boy. And we both have masculine and feminine in each of us, but when I say take on the persona of a boy, I sort of learnt to, and if I just illustrate it with some characters here, so we've got the lion from the Wizard of Oz. I learnt to sort of be courageous. I went through school, and there were quite a few things that happened to me. I had to spend an extra year at school because my timetable got messed up. So I felt like I had to sort of prove myself and to push through. So I was quite courageous in staying on, because essentially in my boy persona I felt like a failure because I hadn't achieved and I hadn't done this and I hadn't, and all the while I was trying to prove myself, and I felt I had to prove myself at home as well to my mum and dad. It was like expected of me as an only child. I had to do well, and if I failed anything I sort of saw it as a personal failure, and it was like I had to push through, I had to be strong, I had to be courageous, I had to keep going, I had to be resilient. And I hadn't realised how much of the masculine side of me that I actually was, and that I actually lived my life through. So in this meditation, when I work with clients, I fully work from my feminine side. So my feminine side, which is Dorothy here, is she listens, she receives, she works from her intuition. She's very loving, caring, nurturing, forgiving, understanding. And when I'm in my feminine side, I feel really relaxed. I mean, I went out on a walk with Ricky tonight and I was looking at the clouds and I was just marvelling at all the wonderful, brilliant colours, the pinks, the whites, the greys, the shapes it made. I was, when people talked to me, I responded. I was just taking it all in the present moment, and I really love being in my Dorothy. But because I've learnt so much of my life to be more in my head, and I had to be courageous and resilient and strong and prove my worth to everyone, sometimes it's very hard for me to stay in my feminine side. But this meditation taught me that I am both. I am both, and I am both my feminine and my masculine. And I've sort of rejected my feminine. So I want to start to do things that are more feminine to me, to embrace her more, because she is so beautiful and wonderful. And I feel really at peace. And as I'm talking now, I just feel her energy and her strength and her courage. You don't have to be just one part of who you are, because men have got the masculine side, but they've also got the feminine side to them, and equally so have women. So I'm going to end this video, day 31, and name it You Are One, I Am One, and We Are All One. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Goodbye.